Welcome, people. It's now 2 past the hour. We are recording and you guys can hear me, it sounds like. So that's absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad to see you here, my friends. Okay, so let me first introduce myself. I normally just jump straight into it, but I'm going to do it properly this time. Okay, so my name is Anna Wallner. I'm a life coach and somewhat a business mindset coach for entrepreneurial women, mostly Swedish women, but I do have some international clients as well. But I run the business mindset program that I've created, and many of the things I bring up as subjects here on the PIFs because I know it can help so many of you. I also host the Life Coach podcast, but that's in Swedish. So if you don't speak Swedish, I'm sorry that it's not for you. So I run these sessions here on the Life Coach University twice a month, and it's always so much fun all the time. So if you're new here, we call this PIF, which is Pay It Forward platform. So all of the coaches here, we do this for free. We share our love for coaching and all our tools and everything because we want to pay it forward. We want to create change for you. And the only thing we ask in return is that you do the same, so that you do something for someone else. Pay it forward in some way, shape, or form that feels right for you. So you got into this PIF by signing up at thelifecoachuniversity.com. And there you can find all of my other coach colleagues, and they have so amazing topics. So you just need to go and check them out. And tomorrow, actually, there is Chris, who's a spiritual life coach, and he will talk about heal, throw, and thrive. Heal, grow, and thrive. Sorry. So you should definitely go and sign up for that if you haven't already. So with that, my friends, we are going to jump in to today's topic, which makes me so excited, seriously, because you know me, or if you know me, maybe you don't, but if you know me, you know I love goals. I work with women who wants to reach their vision and their goals. So today we are going to talk about what might come in the way of your goals, you and your goals. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to talk about this for about 30 minutes. I usually run over a little bit because I have a hard time sort of measuring how long things will take. And today I have a nudge that it will take a little bit longer. So just bear with me, but about 30 minutes. And then if you have any questions for me, you just pop them in the Q&A and I will get to them at the end. And when we have all the questions answered, we will say goodbye and we will have a wonderful week. And we will stop on the latest on the hour. So you know what the time frame is. Okay, friends, let's start. So remember, this is going to be pretty full on. It's going to be pretty packed and very sort of into detail. It depends on how you see it. But if you have any questions and you go like, oh shit, that, pop it in the Q&A and I will answer it and repeat it when we get to it. Okay. So when it comes to you and your vision and the goals you have, I'm sorry, I've had a cough. And last time I had this horrible cough, but we survived. So there are two types that comes in the way when you try to reach your goals. One type of obstacle is external. And those are simple, my friends. Those are not the annoying ones. The internal ones is what is really tricky. So we have external and we have internal obstacles, and I will explain exactly what they are. So these are the simple ones, and these are the tricky ones. And you're probably not aware of most of these ones, actually. I wasn't, for sure, when I learned this stuff. I was like, oh shit, why is everything so hard? It's the internal obstacles that comes in your way when you think things are hard. So when it comes, we take them in order. So we start with the external ones, because those are, as I said, the easy ones. External obstacles are actually circumstances around you that, in my experience, it's often some kind of scarcity. So we lack time, we lack money, we lack skills, we lack some kind of resource when we're trying to get from A to B. And sometimes these can be very easy to predict, and sometimes they just hit you over the head on a Tuesday. And you go like, shit, I didn't see that coming. But either way, even if you could see it coming, or it just came like and smacked you in the head, there's often at least one, or quite often several quite obvious solutions. And if they're not super obvious, then you can figure it out. And that's why these are easy obstacles. So let me just take some examples, because, or let me tell you first, when you want to overcome these obstacles, what you want to do is that you want to use your imagination. So sit down, see where you are now, see where you want to go, and look at that road and think like, okay, what could possibly get in the way? What could get in the way between me and my goal? And what could pop up while I'm striving towards this vision? And some of them might be pretty obvious, as I said, and some might not. But if you use your imagination, you will probably come up with quite a lot of them. So the second thing you want to do is, when you've used your imagination and come up with all of these things that might be a problem, like time, money, resources, you might come up with something completely different. I don't know. But then make a plan to solve these before they even occur. This is so good, because when you do this, you will save yourself so much trouble and so much time and so much energy. So when you think about it, like, okay, so what plan might work to get over this obstacle that you could have in your back pocket? And all of the things that you come up with today, they might not be applicable today. You might not be able to use them today. They don't make sense today. But don't throw them away just because of that, but keep them, because circumstances might change and you might be able to use that one later on. You don't know. So keep it, for example, keep that in your sleeve. Okay, so if we're going to have an example, so you might say, let's take time. That is one thing that my clients come to me with like all the time. It's like, oh, I don't have time to go after my dream because I have the kids and the job and the husband and the whatever. So, okay, you still want to reach this vision that you have. So how could you solve for the time issue? Could you work a little bit less? Could you maybe go down to 80% or maybe 50%? Could you, if you have kids, could you let the kids stay with grandma one night a week? I don't know. Could you plan your week better so you know exactly what to do? I don't know. Or could you manage your mind better so you could actually focus when you have the time to work on your vision? I don't know. But when it comes to time, there is so many things we can do, not to get more time, because we can't. We can never get more time, but we can use the time we have in a more efficient way. And we will get a little bit into that when it comes to the internal obstacles later on. But I have another example. So say if you want to build a website, say that you started a new company and you need a website, but you have no idea how to do that. That's not in your tool belt. You just don't know how. So what could you do to get this website up and running? Well, you could obviously learn how to do it, right? You could take a course, or you could go to YouTube or Google and learn how to do it. I'm sure there are people teaching this. Well, I know there is, because I've created a bunch of websites all by myself and I had no idea. But what could you else do? You could ask a friend. Maybe you have a friend who's really, really good at doing this, or maybe that person could do it for you, or you could maybe get some help in how to learn how to do it. Or you could obviously pay someone. There are people working with just creating websites. So this is how it works. So you take your obstacles and you try to find solutions. And even for the ones that sort of hit you on the head on a Tuesday, you can sort of predict some of those too. It's like, okay, my kids might get sick and I will have to collect them early from school. What then? And then you create a plan for that. It's so handy to have that, because when they call from school, you're just like, okay, let's go into plan B. Now we do this. So by sort of thinking about the future and the planning, we can just save us so much time and so much energy, and not sort of spin in like, oh shit, things don't turn out the way I want. And also these things that happen and sort of come, it feels like they're just bombarding us with like all of these problems. But if we have a plan already, then we won't get so discouraged when they actually show up, because they will show up, I promise you. And I have a little pro tip. If you think it's hard to make this plan for yourself and your brain tells you that you don't know, then I have some questions you can ask yourself. You can go like, okay, brain, I hear you. You say I don't know. But what if I did know? Or what if I would take my best guess as what could be possible when it comes to overcoming this? Or if that's completely blocked out and your brain just goes like, no, 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 try to go at it from another angle. Ask yourself what, I don't know, if you have a witty friend who sort of is really into solving problems, what would that friend do in this situation? And one place you can always go is to your future self. And if you haven't done any future self work, then this might sound a little bit woo-woo to you, but your future self knows how you came across those obstacles, how you came past those obstacles, because he or she is already there, right? So you can always go to your future self. And if you have any questions about external obstacles, you can write them in the Q&A and I'll go through them at the end. But these are the simple ones. And you might not think so now when I say it, but there is always some way you can solve them. And thinking about them as unsolvable will not help you. I guarantee it. These are the easy ones. So let's go to the internal obstacles, my friend. And I wrote these down because I think it will be easier for you to follow. And if you have a pen and paper and you actually think you would want to do some work on these, write them up or write them down because I will tell you how to work with them when we've gone through them. Okay. So the internal obstacles, these are the tricksy ones because they are not so obvious as the external ones. The external ones, they will sort of pop in front of you and go like, here I am. You cannot come past me until you figure out how to. But these ones, they are sneaky, the internal ones, because they disguise themselves as truths very often. So these are the internal obstacles, some of them that you might come across. It's belief systems. And I will explain all of these, I promise. And it's your lizard brain. And it's you being the worst judge and enemy to yourself. It's also integrity. It's decision anxiety and fear of failure. And when you just look at them like this, they might not sound so dangerous or like such big obstacles, but let me explain how they come in your way. Okay. So if we start with the first one, when it comes to belief systems. So when we talk about belief systems, we mean all the thoughts that you've had and that you've been thinking so many times. So now it's just like a truth to you. So this doesn't have, belief system doesn't necessarily have anything to do with like religion and believing in God. I mean, believing in God can definitely be a part of your belief system, but it doesn't have to be. So a belief system is so much more. These are things that you just consider being true. Like, we should be kind to one another. That's a belief system I share, but it's also a belief system I think is good for me to have. So there are different belief systems. There are belief systems that are serving you, and there are belief systems that are not serving you. And the ones that are serving you, we want to keep those. And we also want to turn the ones that don't serve you, and we want to change them so they actually serve you instead. And these belief systems that don't serve you and the ones that serve you, these disguise as truths. So they can be extremely hard to uncover on your own if you're not used to it. And this is where a coach is really, really handy. So when it comes to your negative belief systems, the ones that don't serve you, these are the ones that come in your way when you try to create your vision and reach your goal. So this can be thoughts like, I can't be happy and successful. I can't have a successful business and be a good mom. If I go after my vision, I'm egocentric, for example. Or if your brain is telling you just like a truth, like, no, other people can do it, but you can't. These are some really, really common ones that I come across, both with myself or my clients. And these beliefs won't serve you on your way towards your vision. And these sort of limiting beliefs that you have, they will be super personal to you. You might share some with someone else, but they can be super personal. And the reason why they come in your way is because they create feelings in your body of things being impossible. They create shame, sadness, guilt. And these are not helpful emotions to have when you're trying to create a vision. I would say that when it comes as sort of fuel for your actions, like making you do things and sort of driving you forward, these feelings like guilt and shame and sadness and stuff like that, it will work backwards, kind of. So all of these beliefs, they are a huge roadblock to your success. If you have any questions about this, because I know the first time you come across belief systems, it might be a little bit like, what? But it's basically a thought that you have thought so many times, so you now believe it's true. And the question you want to ask yourself to uncover if it's a belief or if it actually is the truth is that, would everybody else in the world agree with you that this is actually true? Because if we use God as an example, it's true to a lot of people, but to a lot of people, it isn't true. And to be honest, we actually have no proof. We don't know. We can't take things in a lab and go like, oh, this is positive for this and this. So some things we can actually prove, but a lot of our belief systems, they are complete fictive things that we have just learned through our childhood, and we have adapted them, and some are good and some are not serving us. So just be aware about your belief system and what do you actually believe in. So the second one, and this is a big one, and this one sneaks in a lot of the other ones as well. But your lizard brain your lizard brain hates change to start with. It really hates change because it perceives it as dangerous, because change is going into the unknown, and the unknown is dangerous, full stop. So your lizard brain, which is the one that has actually kept us alive and kept us safe, this is now blocking us in so many ways if we are not careful. So this lizard brain has so many strategies to keep you from changing. So one example is that it will definitely try to split your focus by constantly telling you like, oh, you might be better off doing something else, like check your mail or have a coffee or check Instagram, or like, oh, you probably should do that instead, or maybe that would be more productive, or whatever. I don't know how your brain talks to you, but this is how my brain talks to me. And it will also feed you lies. It will tell you that you can't do this. It will tell you that you'll never make it, that people might think you're crazy. It will also tell you things like you don't know, or it might tell you that you can't focus. So what's the point? I mean, if we talk about it in the previous one, like it will try to split your focus. And when it succeeds, it has a new tactic. Then it will tell you that you can't focus, full stop. So it's no point trying to do anything, right? So what your lizard brain is doing is trying to make you feel scared, scattered, doubtful, unsure by telling you these lies and trying to split your focus. And these are super clever strategies, because when you feel unsure, for example, or doubtful, you won't take the next decision to do something. You won't trust yourself. You won't move forward. Because when you feel those feelings, you won't do much, right? So the lizard brain, watch out for the lizard brain. My coach, Amy, she calls her lizard brain Helga, which I've adopted. I think it's super fun. I actually have a chair back there where Helga is sitting and telling me things. So much fun. If you want to learn more about Helga, you have to come and work with me. I'll teach you all about her. But let's go on. The judge. So you are your own worst judge and enemy in so many ways, I'm pretty sure. At least many of us are. And this is also a trick our brain plays on us, because it makes us focus on like all the things that we haven't done, all the things we should have done, all the things that are not good enough, that we should have done more or better, or all of those things. And the things that we have done, actually, our brain is trying to convince us that, no, that wasn't really good, or that wasn't really important, or yeah, whatever. Even though you did all of those things, you should have done these things as well. And when we listen to this judge that we have inside, we normally feel inadequate and worthless, and sometimes even hopeless. Sad is also something that comes up. We feel beaten down. And when we feel all of these feelings, we don't try much more, do we? Because it's sort of never good enough, and we probably won't make it. And all of these things, they're just, it feels dark and heavy and horrible. So when we focus on everything that we haven't done good enough, when we're judging ourselves so hard, we don't want to do much, because the only thing that happens is that we come short, right? So that stinks. I have a very, very hard judge that I'm working on all the time. But then integrity. So integrity is what, if we do what we say we will do, right? So this is also related to our lizards, because our lizard brain is very emotional. It wants to experience positive emotion now. So when you have your vision and when you have your goal, you're looking towards that and you go like, oh, when I get there, I will have all of these fantastic emotions. I will feel strong and proud, and I don't know what you will feel when you reach your goal. But your brain goes like, yeah, but that's over there. And we want to feel good now. We don't want to feel good later. So even though you've planned XYZ to reach your goal, your lizard brain, it will try to make you do something else. It will want you to do something now that makes you feel good now. So it will probably tell you to go scroll social media, eat something, buy something, look at something, Netflix, I don't know. Because it wants this positive feeling now. It doesn't want to feel bored, or it doesn't want to feel nervous, or whatever it feels when you're trying to do what you're doing, right? So it will do its very best to try to convince you to do something else. It's like, you should probably take a break. You should probably go and have a coffee. You will be more focused if you go and have a coffee now. So this is all the lizard brain strategy, right? And this is so interesting because when we've done a plan towards our goal and our vision that we have, we've done that with our prefrontal cortex that sort of puts us apart from the animals. And we know our higher self is like, yes, we want to go over there. We want to evolve. We want something else. But in the moment, our lizard brain is so strong. And the funny thing is that when we've promised someone else to do something or to show up, we would do it, right? Most of us would definitely do it. We would hold that promise, even if we were a little bit bored, or even if we didn't really want to do that right now, or even if we wanted to go and watch The Crown on Netflix. But if we told our friend that we would go with them and do something, we would probably do it, right? And this integrity that we have towards others, we don't always have that when it comes to ourselves. It's not so easy, right? So when we break the promise we made ourselves, what do? Most of us, at least. Most of us beat ourselves up. And when we do that, we feel shame. We feel weak. Maybe we feel inadequate. And this is not very nice, right? It's not so nice. And when we don't do what we say we do, or what we should do, or what we've planned to do, we don't get any closer to our goals either, do we? So this one is a big one, to actually develop integrity with ourselves. Another super big thing is decision anxiety, or the problem with making decisions. That we are so many who have this super big problem. We have this, I wouldn't say inability to make decisions, but it's very difficult. And this is a problem because if we can't make decisions, we're holding ourselves back, because every decision is moving us forward, right? It doesn't matter if it's a huge decision or if it's a small decision. We make decisions every day, but our ability to make decisions is crucial. It's like, okay, so what should we spend our time and money on? What should we spend our energy on? What is the next step? What should I focus on this week? What is my priorities? All of these are decisions. You got it, right? So we need to be very efficient when it comes to taking decisions, because it's all this blah decisions. But when we're scared, when we feel anxiety about making decisions, that is usually, or I would say always, because we're scared about making the wrong decision, right? And then we end up in decision anxiety, and that keeps us from making the decisions we need to make. And the reason why we have this decision anxiety, why we're scared when it comes to making decisions, is that we believe that we will make the wrong decision, right? And the reason why we're scared for making the wrong decision is that when we get to the future, we think that we might have made the wrong decision and we will beat our sort of former self up for making that decision. And then we are here now, And we don't want to make a decision because this future self might beat the crap out of us if we make the wrong decision. But we don't know because we don't have a crystal ball. We can't see into the future. But we try to. We try to figure out what's the right decision because we don't want to beat ourselves up for making the wrong decision, right? So this is actually the reason why we don't want to make decisions, because we're afraid that we'll make the wrong decision and beat ourselves up about it. But this makes no sense, my friends, because you take a decision now based on the information that you have now. So you will make the best decision with the information you have, right? So if you see into the future, or when you get into the future and you get more information, different information, it doesn't really matter because the information you had then was the information you based your decision on. So there is no point beating that poor version of you up because you didn't have that information, right? So if you can feel certain about the fact that you're making the best decision you can right here, right now, and if that turns out to be the wrong decision, you won't beat yourself up because you did your best, right? So this is the whole circus when it comes to being afraid of making decisions, is that we are afraid to make the wrong decision. What's even a wrong decision? That's you're the one to decide if it's the wrong decision, right? So this decision anxiety is so worth to work through, because when you can make decisions efficiently and with trust in yourself, the game has changed completely. And you will see your results and your movement forward. It will be like nothing else. Seriously. So look at that and see if you suffer from from decision anxiety. Okay, let's do the last one, friends. Fear of failure. So we are raised in many of the societies around the world that failure is something bad. But to be honest, what is failure anyway? Who decides what failure is? Very often, we decide that we have failed because we have put the standards on ourselves. And this makes no sense. But the reason why failure scares us so much is because we don't want to feel like a failure, right? And the feeling of failure is so scary. So sometimes it even keeps us from even trying. We're like, I want to go over there, but I will probably fail. So I'll just stay over here instead. And this, in my opinion, is like the craziest type of failure ever, because you've failed ahead of time, because you don't even try. You don't even give yourself the chance to succeed. But the fear of feeling this failure, feeling that we are a failure, is so strong within us. So many of us can't shake it. We're like, no, I'm going to be a failure. What will they say? What will I say? What will the talk be? And we don't want to feel like a failure. And that's what we're scared of. And I really want to encourage you to start thinking about failure in a completely different way. And actually, this is one, I have this as a topic in my program because it's huge. Actually, all of these internal obstacles is parts of my program, because these are the things that actually come in our way. The external, as you might see by now, the external problems or the external obstacles are not nearly as tricksy. It all comes from the inside. The inside or the internal obstacles, these are the actual obstacles. And I want to say it again. The actual obstacles are the one that we create on the inside. But it's so easy to look on the outside and go like, no, I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have the skills. But all of those things, I mean, yes, of course, you might have zero money on your bank account. Yeah, okay, that's a fact. How can we go around that? How can we create the money that you need to do whatever it is you want to do? But it doesn't help to think internally about the external things as huge problems, as roadblocks, because then you will just shut down. So the actual obstacle is, if you paid attention, it's the feelings that we create. So if we repeat the feelings that we've gone through, all of these things, that the belief system and the lizard brain and the judge and the integrity problem and the decision anxiety and fear of failure, what they create, the feelings they create within us are what most of us would consider negative. It's the feeling of it being impossible. It's shame, it's sadness, it's guilt, it's fear, feeling doubtful and unsure and inadequate, worthless, hopeless, sad, beaten down, weak, you name it. All of these negative feelings, they won't help us when we try to create our goals. They won't fuel us to take massive action towards our goals. They are the actual roadblocks. So when you feel shame or sad or guilt or scared or worthless or hopeless or beaten down or afraid, that feeling, if you don't know how to handle it and how to process it and where it comes from, that will keep you from your goal. That is the biggest problem you will ever come across, my friend. So fixing these, or at least working on these internal problems or obstacles, that will, I would say, set you free, but it will make you move forward for sure. And maybe now you go like, okay, I realize that I have some of these or one of these or all of these to some extent. So please tell me how to fix it, right? We all want to fix, and preferably a quick fix, right? When it comes to these things, unlike the external obstacles, most of these are not quick fixes. I'm sorry to say. You can fix them. I don't know what you consider being quick, but you can definitely start to work on them and do so much progress. Absolutely. But so my first recommendation is get a coach. Get a coach so you can sort this shit out. Because when you start to work on these, it's a game changer. Absolutely. And if you can't get a coach that can help you with these, and this is why I wanted you to write them down. create awareness about them. This will take you a long, long way, my friend. So what you do is that you write all of these down. You take all of these obstacles, and then you take a cup of tea or a glass of wine or whatever, and you take some time and you write down how these show up in your life. Because if you're aware of them, you can start to change them, right? So when it comes to these internal obstacles, you can do, or you have to do all the work. A coach will, of course, help you. And especially when it comes to these belief systems and all of these other areas as well, like they will point out to you things that you don't see. It's very hard to fix things that are hiding and that you can't see. So if you want to start to work on this yourself, which I encourage you to do, look at your belief system and go like, okay, what do I believe that might get in my way? Do I believe that my worth is connected to what I produce in the world, for example, or how tidy my house is, or what I weigh, or I don't know. It's just some examples that usually pops up during coaching. But so ask yourself, like, okay, so what are the belief systems that you have? And look at your lizard brain. Like, how is your lizard brain trying to sabotage you? Is it trying to split your focus? Is it telling you lies? What type of lies is it telling you? There's so many different things. And how do you judge yourself? How are you not kind to yourself? How don't you have your own back? Because this is, I mean, when you beat yourself up about things you do and things you haven't created or whatever, it's the worst. Start working on becoming your own best friend and cheerleader and mentor. Also things that I teach every day. And also when it comes to integrity, think about promises that you make to others and look at the promises you make for yourself in the same way. Because your vision and what you want to create in your life is up to you. You are the only one who can actually create it. So if you tuck that away sometime or somewhere and don't focus on it, that's on you, my friend. If you don't invest in your vision, that's on you. I'm sorry to say. So stand in your integrity. Stand up for what you want and what you want to create, because you only get one life, right? And when it comes to decision anxiety, don't beat your former self up that took those decisions. That person, that version of you did its best. I promise. There's no point beating that version of yourself up, because the only thing that will happen is that you won't make any new decisions because it's so scary. So don't do that. And when it comes to failure, I want to share my thought that has helped me so much when it comes to reaching your vision and your goals. And this is it. Write it down if you need to. As long as I haven't given up, I haven't failed. So you can say, if I don't give up, I haven't failed. And that sort of takes all the pressure off, really. So that's all I have for you, my lovely, lovely friends. Let's see if you have any questions for me. I'm sorry. Okay. So what if I don't find any solutions to my external problems? Okay, Anonymous, ask yourself if that's really true. Is it really true that there is no solution whatsoever to the problem you're having right now? I don't think so. I think it's something your lizard brain is trying to tell you, so you won't be able to move forward. And if you get really stuck and you've used the questions like, okay, what if I knew? What could be the solution then? If you tried that one, you've tried to go it through like, what would my witty friend tell me? Go to someone else. Go and ask someone. Okay, I seem to have this problem or this roadblock. How would you get past it? And talk to someone else about it, because there's always a solution. I mean, we've put people on the moon, for crying out loud. There is probably a solution. Okay, next question. This is the last question, actually. So if you don't have any more questions, then this is the last one. How would a coach work with you when you need to overcome your obstacles? Well, it depends on the coach, but most of us that I know, we will actually not tell you what to do. We will just show you your mind. We will, when you talk to us, we can hear your thoughts and we will show them to you. So you actually can create this awareness that we were talking about. So that's normally how it works. And when you see these things, when you see your thoughts, you can choose whether you want to keep them or not, because it's completely optional. You can keep them if you want to, or you can disregard them. So it's completely up to you. That's all the questions, my friend. So no more questions, nothing in the chat. Good. Okay. I am so glad that you spent the time with me here today. And it was so good to host you. Thank you so much for giving me an entire hour of your time. So if you're a Swede or you speak Swedish and you want more of me, and you want to connect, then you just go up on my website. It's Anna Wallner with a W.se. And if you don't speak Swedish, I still do have some international clients. You can get in contact with me through that same web page, annawallner.se. And then you just scroll down to the footer and you will have contact there, where then you can send me an email. It's so simple, so straightforward. So my darlings, I just want to remind you to pay this forward in any shape or form that feels right to you. And an easy way is, of course, to tell someone about the Life Coach University and all the free webinars that is available. So go to lifecoachuniversity.com, not but lifecoachuniversity.com, and share it with all your friends and book your next session. And tomorrow it's Chris, remember. So go and browse through all of those lovely things. So I hope that you will have a smashing week, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.